Hi loves and welcome back to Love What Lack. This week's episode is going to trigger some people. I already know it because unfortunately it doesn't matter who you are. If you're dating in this generation, then I'm sure you've been personally victimized by social media before. Social media has just brought this whole other layer of issues, I think, in relationships. It's like you can no longer just meet somebody and then that be that. Now you meet somebody, then the next step is having them on Instagram or, Facebook, wherever. And then through that, you see who they're following. Other people get to see you. When are they going to post a picture of me? Why are they not posting a picture of me? Who's liked that photo? Why are they liking that picture? Like, it just brings a whole different realm of issues that, some generations gladly skipped past. And lucky them is what I say. Because, I'm sure you've had an issue with social media before. So I think this episode is definitely going to resonate with you. It's spurred on by a story that we got sent this week that I'm going to read out. But she also asks in this story if her bad thoughts about her relationship or boyfriend are intuition or anxiety, which I think is one of the hardest questions to answer because they give you the same feelings. Anxiety is often in your chest or in your stomach. Sometimes if you feel anxiety, sometimes your stomach goes, and that's also where your intuition is. And I think it's really tricky, but we're going to give her a go, guys. So let's jump in and read this week's story. Is it anxiety or are all men trash? I'm just going to stop you right there. Yes, they are. No. Kidding. Okay. Hi, Sadie. I love the podcast and listen every week. Thank you. And I just wanted to say, as I know you take some flack for it, but as a fellow South Wales gal, I love your accent. It's super comforting to me. Thank you so much. That really means a lot. Okay. I'm coming to you with a dilemma. My partner of just over a year now lives with me and the relationship is good overall, but I feel uneasy. Firstly, on his Instagram, he is prone to liking girls' pics. I'm okay with that. He has friends that are girls and that's okay. However, the pattern is boobs. Sigh. He's not liking their most recent achievements or fun trips. It is almost exclusively a boob-based like. I've got an issue with this. There's no way around it for me. I've got an issue with it. And I had an ex who was like this, and every bikini picture you could imagine, his name was under it, and it's just not fun. And it's also just like an ick. It's an ick. We have spoken about this. He apologised and has said he will stop it and was completely unaware of his penchant for liking boob pics. He just had no idea he was doing this. And she's put 3 eye-rolling emojis here, and I'm glad because that's what we're all thinking. Does this mean anything, or can it be excused as his man brain being unable to scroll past a boob pic without liking it? Either way, kind of gross in my opinion. Look, Hannah, I can guarantee that you were probably speaking for at least 99.9% of the female listeners on this episode that it is gross and it's not just your opinion. And that's not to say that it means something, and it's not to say that everybody would have an issue with it. But I think everyone can agree that it's pretty gross. Because here's my issue with it. If you were walking hand in hand with your partner and a girl with big boobs or a super hot girl walked past, they would not turn and look and say, oh my God, you see her, she was so hot. Oh my God, you see her tits? Did you see her boobs? He wouldn't do that because he would know that that would be disrespectful to you. He'd know that it would be a bit icky. He'd know that it wouldn't be nice. So why does he think it's okay to do it on Instagram? Because you can also see that. It's the same thing. And also, let's not say, can it be excused as a man brain? Because just because he's a man, I think they get excused for enough. You are not walking around liking every topless man's photo, craning your neck when you see a hot guy. You can refrain yourself, and so can a man. He also works with a lot of women. Again, fair, not a problem. However, one girl has come up on his phone with a first name and then Tinder as the last name. He explained the reason for this, and they had indeed matched on Tinder before. Oh, God, that's all so grim. Honestly, I feel for you, I really do. Prior to going on a first date with him, a friend of a friend had informed me they'd also matched and had been talking. Again, not really a big deal, I guess, and you can't help having to work with a previous Tinder match. But I am slowly building this picture that he seemingly has swiped right on most of the female population of Wales and the southwest. Plus, he habitually likes girls' thirst traps. Would he have got with almost anyone if they'd have him? And does that just make me the most charitable one of the lot? Okay, I'm going to stop you here. These are all such common thoughts, and this is what I mean by it being an ick. And I wish guys could understand this, that I think guys think that, like, the more girls they chat to and, like, they like their pictures and that, I think it makes them feel or makes them think that they are, like, the man. You know, and maybe that is because in their world with their little man friends, it's perceived that way. But for the people that they actually need to impress, which is us, it's a massive ick. And I need them to understand that, because nobody wants somebody that has been around that much. Like, in the same way that girls have been labelled slag. Like, slag is synonymous with a girl, not a guy. Slag, slut. It's the same. It's the same the other way. Nobody wants it. It's not like judging. Obviously, people go with other people before you get any partner. It's not that. But, like, nobody wants to know about it. Nobody wants to think of their partner just going with anybody. However, him, like in like Hinge matches or people on Tinder, and also matching with somebody before, is just life. And as much as I can completely understand how that makes you feel, as I've just explained, it is life, and everybody, even if they don't know it, everybody is looking for some sort of companion. Because there's people on Hinge, people are dating, even if they don't want a serious relationship, everyone is still looking for someone. And part of that is social media, it is dating apps. And being on those doesn't make you a slag. And I think sometimes we can get in our heads with that, where you want somebody in an ideal world that, like, nobody else has been with and that, you know, nobody else knows about. And I think that's why now we see more and more people on the internet, or famous people or influencers, whatever, keeping their relationships really private. And it's because it's never a nice feeling, but it is just part of life. So I will say that him matching a friend for friend is okay. It's not ideal, but it's okay. Also, you're in Wales, like, it's a smaller pool. I think more people know each other there, and it just happens, and it's just part of life. Okay, she says, the relationship is good overall. He hasn't done anything I would consider a write-off, but my fight or flight response is regularly screaming, fly girl, fly. For context, my previous relationship was 7+ years, and he cheated on me a lot. The true extent of which we will never know, but I know now it was a lot. That breaks my heart, because why is he with you for 7 years and cheating so much? Like, why didn't he just break up with you? Like, it's just so sad, 'cause it's so hurtful for you and gives you such bad repercussions. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. She says, so I am wondering if this urge to leave this relationship is intuition or is it anxiety? Whew. It is a tough one, guys, and if you've got any opinions on this, then please leave a comment or come and send me a DM at Sadie Maltby, and I'll share them on the Instagram. Because I think we can get a lot of opinions on this, but I'm just going to backtrack and go through everything one at a time. So, your boyfriend liking girls' pictures on Instagram. Up until more recently, I've always thought very logically about likes on Instagram. I've always thought that it doesn't mean anything, and you can like something without thinking about it, without even remembering it. And I would say 8 times out of 10 that's true. But you cannot deny the feeling that you experience when you were with somebody and you see a picture of a hot girl or a bikini girl or a bum or wherever it may be, and your boyfriend's name is underneath that as a like, there is something about that feeling that you just cannot explain. You know it doesn't mean anything, but it just makes you feel rubbish. I think it makes you feel insecure. It's essentially seeing that your boyfriend has looked at another girl and thought she's hot, which is part of life. You can be in love with somebody and still find somebody else attractive, but when you see her there in front of your eyes, it's just like confirmation of that. And as I said, if you're walking down the street with your boyfriend, he wouldn't look and tell you that you thought she was hot because he knows that that would be disrespectful. But here's my argument. They know on Instagram by now, boyfriends know by now, that doing that on Instagram is going to have the same effect. There have been enough conversations by now. How long's Instagram been around for? 20 years, 15 years, they know by now that it's disrespectful and they know it makes you feel shit. So why do they still do it? That's my issue. Also, depending who that person is that they like in the photo, it can be very likely that that person on the other end of that like is going to see that and is going to know that they've liked it, is going to know that they've got a partner. So then you also have the judgment from that person. Your partner then is giving major ick vibes, not only to you, but also to the other person. I mean, I'm trying to be gender neutral, but let's just talk about the guy liking the girl's photos, because I just feel like it's a more common thing. So when your boyfriend likes another girl's photos, if it's somebody that he knows or, you know, not a huge celebrity, there's a big chance that they're going to see that like. So what message are you sending by liking that? Because you know that she's going to notice it. So it comes across that you almost want her to know that you think she's attractive or that you like that photo. And that makes it even worse. Like, it's one thing when they like in celebrities' photos, that's still bad. But when they like in people that they know or, you know, just somebody that they follow on Instagram that hasn't got a big following. Not that a big following makes it okay, but like it adds another layer of ickiness and like insecurity and just untrustworthiness, if that's the right word, when they do it to somebody that, you know, follows them back for starters. And I think they need to ask themselves why they do it. Because if you ask them, the answer you'll always get is, oh, I don't know, didn't mean anything, didn't even realise I was doing it, I've got no idea. But let's dig a little bit deeper, because you know what you're doing. Everybody knows what they're doing when they like a photo. And for me, the issue is, right, they could be doing that for a long time. And I will say sometimes you can like something so quickly that you actually don't think about it. And this is going to sound really contradictory now, but this actually happened to me the other day. I was on TikTok. Well, I say the other day, it was like after Trump was president again. And I saw on TikTok something about like Kim Kardashian doing a shoot with Tesla. And I was like, oh my God, there's no way she's done that so close after the... Guys, why do I always have dementia? So close after the inauguration. I love I could Google it, but I'm not going to. Hopefully you know what I mean. After Trump was president and all the rest of it, I saw on TikTok Kim K did this shoot with like a Tesla robot or something, or some Tesla car, and obviously people on TikTok were like saying it was crazy that she did it because it pretty much shows that she voted for Trump. And I was like, no way, I haven't seen that. I went back onto Instagram to search for Kim K, because obviously I had nothing better to do with my time. I had liked the photo. I didn't even know about it. I didn't remember about it. And I went back on it and I was like, oh my God, not only have I seen it, I've also liked it. Which also embarrassing, because imagine somebody had seen me like that and then was like, oh my God, she must be a Trump supporter. And this is where like social media gets so dangerous, where you can see a like or you see a comment or you see a follow and it just can spin you into turmoil. Like, who remembers on Instagram that tab where it would tell you everyone who liked everyone else's pictures? that was a ropey, scary, dark time, and I never want that feature to come back. So obviously there are occasions, like I said, 8 times out of 10, it probably doesn't mean anything. But why bother putting yourself through it? As a man, I mean. Why bother putting yourself through the issue of liking a photo, knowing what it's doing to your partner, knowing that it could spur something on, knowing that it can give you shit in an argument? Like, what's the point of doing it? What thrill are you really getting out of sending that like? Because there's got to be more of a reason than, I don't know, I just did it without thinking. I don't buy it. And I can probably speak for us all, we don't buy it. So I think I would love to know the reason why. And I think that would be helpful if you could have that conversation with your partner. But I do think that generally, when we have this conversation, when we have these feelings, not even just about Instagram, just about stuff, if there's anything that makes you feel insecure, if you're like me anyway, you don't really want to raise that in a relationship because you think, God, you want to basically believe that you shouldn't be bothered by this. You know it doesn't mean anything. Like I said, 8 times out of 10. Don't get me wrong, sometimes it absolutely does mean something, and you know, they're trying to do something or they've done something before, wherever. But like 8 times out of 10, it is just a like and it doesn't mean anything. And I do believe that. So I think when you've got that in your head, you kind of think, this shouldn't bother me. I shouldn't be bothered by my partner who I live with, who I know loves me and I love him back. I shouldn't be bothered by seeing his picture under a like of a girl in a bikini. That shouldn't bother me because that's not reality. That's online and it's not our relationship and it's not all the millions of good things he does. So you think that, and then you think, so I'm not going to tell him how that's made me feel because it's going to make me look insecure, and we've had such a nice day today and he's done X, Y, Z for me and he's a good partner. And you end up dealing with it all yourself, I think. Like I said, not even just with Instagram, but with anything. Like, oh, he hasn't told me he loves me today, or, you know, he didn't say he sounded different on the phone today, or, you know, all these little things that we do pick up on. Like, you can't help it, you do pick up on it. But when it makes you feel insecure and you don't want to come across as insecure or needy or anything, so I feel like lots of us internalise it and then we have to deal with the problem ourselves, and that is not the way to go. Because if somebody's causing you a problem in the relationship, is making you feel a certain way, it's their responsibility as well to deal with it. It's not just on you. Relationships are a two-way thing, and the both of you should work it out. It shouldn't be, especially if one person's making you feel a certain way, that other person needs to help you deal with it or to not do it anymore, to make you feel better. So my top tip to anyone that's going through this is to raise it and to remember that you don't deserve to feel like that in a relationship. Obviously it happens. Nobody's happy all the time in a relationship and people get hurt. You'll hurt your partner as well. I'm sure if you hurt your partner, you'd want to know. If I was doing something every day or every week that my partner was feeling really sad about, I would want him to tell me. And here's the gag. The gag is, the guy would probably tell you. So why don't we? Like, there's nothing, I've said this before, there's nothing more confident than having an issue and going to that person with it. Whether it's a friend, family, boss, partner. Like, that is such an empowering, confident thing, I think. And this is, like I've said, this is something I've learned as I've gone, like, in my 30s now, because I spent my 20s really, I mean, I hate confrontation anyway, like, and I'm really not a confrontational person. But, like, when I look back at my 20s and my way of dealing with something, like, if I didn't like something that my partner did, my way of dealing with it would be like, well, I'm not going to tell him, I'll deal with it myself. And I would either like deal with it myself and convince myself it's okay, or I would just like then turn myself off him and be like, well, he doesn't do that and I don't like that, so that's that. Like, bye. And that's not a good thing to do either, because my partner, I'm sure he would have preferred at the time me talk to him rather than just say, oh, this isn't working anymore. I would want that. I wouldn't want my boyfriend to come home and be like, I'm ending it with you because you post on Instagram and you don't text me back. I'd be like, why are you breaking up with me? Why didn't you tell me? And I would stop doing that, you know? So there's definitely a conversation to be had, which this girl, obviously, she says that she has done that, which is a really good thing. I think as well, like I said, if you can actually understand and get an answer, a real answer, and if the guy could understand why they did that, that would be a big help, but might be asking for too much. The second thing I will say is it the second thing? Probably the 15th. How long have I been talking for? Definitely not the second thing. I'm not counting. The other thing I will say is I don't think liking pictures on Instagram, if you're in a relationship, is a sackable offence. I don't. However, if you were telling your partner something and you've told them once, twice, 3 times, like once should be enough. If you've told your partner that they are doing something that is upsetting you, right? Whether it's liking pictures, whether it's not replying to you, whether it's never doing the dishes, wherever it may be. If you tell them that it upsets you and how it makes you feel and you speak to them calmly about it and they dismiss that or they apologise but they do the exact same thing again, that's where my issue is. And if it's a repeated thing that really makes you feel sad, insecure, bad, whatever, angry, if it's a repeated thing, you either have to get to the point where you accept it, you think, right, he's not going to change. Nobody's going to change for you, by the way. People will only change when they want to. It sounds so cliche, but it's true. I'm not going to go for a run every morning just because my boss tells me to, or my mother. I'm only going to do that when I want to do it. You know, people can definitely change, but they'll only do it when they're ready. So if somebody is not changing, you either have to accept it and just think, right, I'm with him. He likes pictures of girls' boobs. I know it doesn't mean anything and I get on with it. Or you think to yourself, this makes me feel so insecure, I cannot keep going through this and I've got to walk away. Because it's unfair for you both to stay in the relationship and you be really unhappy and insecure and feeling bad about yourself and also feeling angry at him and getting turned off him. Like, it's not just an insecure thing, it's also an ick. Like, it's such an ick. Here's why it's an ick. Hang on, I'll come back to that because I'm going off track. It's unfair to you both to also be in a relationship where you're then like punishing him and you're angry at him and you want him to change all the time, and then he's constantly being told that he's not somebody that's making you happy. Like, it's not fair on him either, so you have to walk away. Why it's an ick is because we hear these stories about men cheating all the time, right? I get sent them all the time. We share them. And when we hear those, you think, oh my God, men are disgusting. And then you've got your partner here, and you think your partner, when you're in love with them, is nothing like that. And, you know, you feel so sad that everyone else is going through that, but you've got your person here, and they are not like the other men. They're not like your ex. They're not like your friend's ex or your friend's boyfriend. Like, they are your person and they're so special to you and they would never do anything to hurt you. And then when you see their name under a girl's Instagram photo, or you catch them looking at another girl, like when they're with you, or they say a story about, you know, one thing they did like when they were single, you all know that feeling. It goes in your stomach and you think, oh, that doesn't match up with the person that I'm with. And it makes you think of the person you're with as a bad person, just like all the other guys. And it gives you the ick. And you think, oh my God, you might not be who I think you are. And that just like rocks your whole world. And ultimately, it makes you think less of them. And it becomes an ick. And I really wish men could understand that when you're the side of us and you think, oh, she's been insecure, oh, she's nagging, I wish you could understand actually the complexity of it. Like, women have 18 million more thoughts a day than men. I'm convinced of it. I'm sure there's a stat about it somewhere. Maybe not 18 million, but there'll be numbers somewhere that women overthink a lot more. And just like a tiny little thing that you're doing can just have like a huge effect in your partner's brain. So just don't do it. Moving on to the Tinder thing. This is a tricky one because if you've matched with somebody on Tinder, it means that you fancy each other. Sorry, I feel like that's like actually so harsh to hear. Obviously, they don't fancy each other now, but it means at one point they both thought, oh, he looks alright. But then it never worked out and they never dated. And to be fair, even people that did date, like in my old job, right, 2 jobs ago, there was this couple and he had dated another girl in the office. And the 3 of them were all there. And there was this girl that he dated very casually. And then this other girl came and he was obviously like in love with her. And they moved in together. They were together for a long time. They've got engaged now. So you can still be around people that you dated because, yeah, you might have fancied them at the start or they might have fancied each other for a brief second, but then it doesn't work out. And that's okay. However, do they need to be texting each other? Is my question. Not that I want to be a controlling thing. Obviously, guys can have friends, but I do think it's a bit tricky when the reason they know each other previously is because they matched on Tinder. Can he at least change her name? Because if she was just a colleague, I'm sure it'd be different. But I think that, and the comment that he matched other people before, I think that is your anxiety, not your intuition. Like, if you've been cheated on before, especially like as much as this girl has, obviously you're going to have so many triggers in your next relationship. And I think that's really tricky. But I've mentioned before on you that obviously as an anxiety girly and somebody who's been in therapy, I now understand that when you've got a thought in your brain or a belief, your anxiety and your brain will do everything it can to confirm that belief. And that's what anxiety is for. Like I've said before, anxiety and like feelings in your body, they're meant to protect us from danger. But unfortunately, in this modern day world and life, it's like the trend on TikTok. Unfortunately, our bodies no longer know the difference between being held up at gunpoint and having to call the hairdressers. Like, or the dentist. Like, our anxiety doesn't really know the difference anymore. So if you've got a belief, right, that your partner's going to cheat on you, or maybe a worry, it doesn't have to be a belief, but maybe a worry stemmed from, it can be from anything, can't it? It can be from insecurities, it can be from what your ex did to you, it could be because you were a cheater, or it could be because, you know, all your friends' partners cheated on them, your mother cheated on your father, wherever it is, right? If you've got this kind of belief or worry in your head, your anxiety is going to try and prove that to you. It's going to look for everything to validate that thought and prove it to you so that you then stay away from it. So if you've got the worry that your partner's going to cheat on you and then a message from a girl comes up on his phone and they've matched on Tinder, instantly your anxiety is telling you he's going to be doing something with her. They've had something before, you know, wherever your anxiety tells you. Same for the Instagram pictures. And look, if anyone is listening to this and you are sat at home or have been, if you've ever been sat at home scrolling through your partner's following and looking at their photos and trying to see what pictures they've liked and trying to piece stuff together, please remember that that is your anxiety trying to prove to you a belief that you've got, that you are unlovable or that somebody's going to cheat on you. They're always going to cheat on you. And by doing that, you think that you are going to prove that it's happened, which is what your anxiety wants. Your anxiety wants to prove those beliefs to you. And it makes you believe that by doing that, you're going to be safer. Like when you are deep in your partner's Instagram following and stuff, or wherever it is, or stalking their ex, or, you know, whatever toxic thing you're doing, right? Setting up a profile like for your friend, wherever it is, you think that you are going to find something and it's going to make you feel better, because then you're going to be like, oh, I was right. But the thing is, you're never right, because what you were seeing on social media 8 times out of 10 isn't the case. They could be following a girl that you were convinced they got together, and it could be his friend's girlfriend or his friend's ex, or a colleague who's happily married and, you know, they had a good friendship, or a girl that he dated years ago and he's got absolutely no interest in now, but he still follows her because, you know, they got on well and there was no bad blood when they ended, and he still follows her. And the weird thing is, you've probably got people like that in your Instagram. You've probably got people that you follow that you've slept with, or that you chatted up on a night out before, or they chatted you up, you got your Instagram, you never made her on a date, but you still follow each other. And it means absolutely nothing. You still follow somebody you kissed 2 years ago in a bar. And you know it means nothing to you, but when you see it on the other side and you see your boyfriend there and you think, oh my God, that must be the girl that he mentioned before that he met on holidays, your brain will go into a spiral and it thinks it's protecting you. But it's not, because it's probably not true and it's probably nothing. And you're causing yourself so much torture, honestly. You're just torturing yourself for no reason, because if somebody's going to cheat on you, they're going to do it anyway. And you preparing for it is not going to lessen the blow. It's like when people say, like, don't jinx it. Or I don't want to get excited for something in case I'll be disappointed. I don't want to get excited about this job because I'm going to be even sadder if I don't get it. No, hun, you're still going to be sad if you don't get the job. Preparing for it beforehand is just torturing yourself for longer. You might as well just try and think positively and, you know, go along with life and enjoy it until you've got a real reason to doubt it. So I think it's a really, really tricky thing, because at the same time you always hear, like, you just knew that you had to check. You wanted to check his phone one day and there was the feeling. And look, maybe there is an intuition there where you think maybe he is looking at other girls and he thinks they're attractive. But it doesn't mean that he is going to cheat on you or that he is cheating on you with these things. And I think you just have to find the balance in catching yourself in the moments where you're spiraling. I think that's probably a good way to tell if it's anxiety or intuition. I think anxiety is very erratic and it's a very high energy emotion. So, and it doesn't stop. When you're anxious, you can just keep tumbling down that black hole and you'll just go until you exhaust yourself. And I think if you're feeling like that, where you're thinking, okay, that girl has texted him, who else does he work with? And you're spiraling like that, I think that's anxiety. If you were quite calm, and guys, also this is just my take on it, by the way, so please don't take this for gospel. And if anybody's got any actual experience of this, please let us know and help us all out. But from an experience of somebody that has anxiety and who has gut feelings, I would say the difference between anxiety and intuition is anxiety is very erratic, it's very high energy, it's very out of control, and you're constantly looking for answers for things and you don't know where to stop. Whereas I think a gut feeling and an intuition is very calm. It is that feeling of kind of knowing, even if it's something bad, you kind of know, and you're not looking for answers and proof. And you see a name from somebody, and it can still give you that anxious feeling, of course, in your stomach, in your chest, like wherever you find might not be nice. But I think there's a calmer element to it where it is like the people say, like where you just know. And I think if you start to catch yourself on those feelings when you're going through these thoughts, then maybe that's a good indicator. But please do keep us posted. And please just try, if you can, to enjoy things, because anxiety honestly can just like ruin stuff. And I hate that through people cheating, it creates like so many issues, you know, out of that relationship. So just try and live in the moment. But what I will say as well is I've got 2 good quotes actually, which I actually want to talk to you guys about anyway, right? The first one that I read about this week is the 69% of problems in relationships are unsolvable. This was a test done, I think it was done by the Gottmans, but it was like on a legit podcast I listened to. I think it was a Mel Robbins one. Essentially, that means that the stuff that your partner does, like 70% of the issues, like if you were always late and they are not, and it's constantly an issue and it's constantly an argument, 70% of those types of issues are unresolvable. The ones that need to resolve, I think, are the ones that impact your values. So if your partner never doing the shopping or like never pulling his weight with the cleaning or something is an issue for you and it's annoying, it might never get resolved, but you might be able to learn to live with it. But if your love language is acts of service, and by him not cleaning or whatever really impacts you and really makes you feel like this person doesn't love me, whatever, that's a value. That's like a core value. Or if they're not pulling their weight with the kids and one of your core values is family time, that is an issue that is probably unresolvable and that you can't move past. And with stuff like this, with like the Instagram and the social media, like I said earlier, you've really got to decide like what that means to you. And if it really impacts you on a value where it makes you feel like they don't love you, or it makes you feel like they are disloyal or disrespectful to you, and that should be most people's values, to be fair. If you feel like that, then you have to speak to them, and if it doesn't get any better, you have to end it. Not that I'm saying to this person that you should end your relationship, you should speak about it, but it's just like being a way of really basically how much you can put yourself through. If the two of you can't work through it together, you've got to reach a point where you think, I can't do this to myself anymore, or I have to get to a place where I can accept this, or we can both move forward, etc. Just takes a lot of work, but don't go through years with somebody feeling the same way. I had a friend like that, honestly. She was in a relationship for a long time with a guy that we all hated, and she knew he was bad for her. And you will only leave when you're ready. But like, sometimes I think when you love somebody so much, you just put up with so much shit because you're just so hopeful, and you know, you just love them basically. But sometimes you've really just got to put yourself first and think it's not worth it. And then the second quote is by my man, Paul Brunson, who I absolutely love and I refer to all the time on here. I saw a clip from his podcast the other day. I need to watch the episode actually. And he said that basically he asked this girl, because he's got like a show on Netflix now, isn't he, with cheating, about cheating, couples that have cheated before and then are like trying to get back together. And he asks one of the girls from there, do you believe he cheated? And she says, I don't think he cheated, but I think he lied. And Paul said, here's what I think. If you've set a boundary in the relationship and that boundary has been crossed, then I think that's cheating. And I think that makes it not, like, I don't think this is cheating. I don't think a boy liking another girl's photo on Instagram is cheating. I don't, but there are plenty of people that would. But I think that makes it sound nicer, whereas actually just, it doesn't have to be like cheating, and it doesn't even have to be about the other person or the boobs or anything of that. What it is somebody betraying your trust and also just hurting your feelings. And I think it's an easily solvable problem. I think if you say to your partner, I don't want you liking pictures of girls, then it's easy enough for them to stop. And I think if they can stop, then that's fine. I don't really think it's like a deep-rooted thing that means that they're a bad person and that they are going to cheat on you. I think the issue only is if they continue to cross that boundary and cross that line. So yeah, guys, hopefully that is helpful. Like I said, if you've got any experience with this or opinions, then please come and let me know at Sadie Maltby, or you can send an email to sadie@lovewhatluck.com, or just if you're listening on Spotify, Apple or YouTube, then come and leave us a comment and get involved. It actually feels so nice to speak to you guys. It's been a little while since I recorded. We did a throwback episode last week because with the bank holiday and stuff, and I was in Italy, if you've seen on my Instagram. Me and my friend went to Positano, had a lovely time. As I've said before, girls' trips are just good for the soul. Whether you're single, in a relationship, like I've always done my girls' trips. And my friend didn't. She stopped them when she was in a relationship, and she said she's never going to do that again because you've got to keep them. Do you know what, right? We were sat at dinner. By the way, I ate pasta for lunch and dinner for every meal. I don't even eat pasta at home at all. Maybe I'll eat tuna pasta. I never order in a restaurant. I never cook it, like I said, other than tuna pasta. Italy, it was 80% of my diet. It was delicious out there. Anyway, it was literally pasta and Aperol, classic Italian tourist diet. Anyway, me and my friend were sat for dinner on holidays, surrounded by couples. And honestly, the couple opposite us, we must have been their entertainment. There was not a single word spoken amongst them. Well, when the food came, there's a bit of chit-chat. Then the girl was on her phone. And me and my friend were like, wow, they're hearing our unhinged conversation, and we'll probably be the point of conversation for them when they go home. And honestly, you're welcome, because they did not look like they were having a nice time. And that was pretty much the theme of the restaurant. We were in Positano on a seaside restaurant, very romantic. We were the only two friends there. Actually, I think there might have been one group of guys, but it was mostly couples. But which table will laugh in the most? Ours. Which were the most unhinged? Ours. And I know people will say, oh, the couples probably live together though. When you spend so much time together, you haven't got much to say, blah, blah, blah. I've lived with girls. I've lived with my friends. I've lived with a partner. The difference isn't that, it's being a girl. When you were with a girl, the conversation is endless. We can revisit the same thing over and over and over again. We might bring some new points. We might not. That's okay. We'll still talk about it. We'll still laugh over the same things that happened 10 years ago. And the range of a conversation with a girlfriend is just unmatched. You can go from serious, deep, tell me your most traumatic secret, and serious life decisions like when you having children and I think I need to move, and really serious conversations, to the next breath being which picture does my ponytail look better in? You just can't do that with a man, I don't feel. And that's why it's good to have girls' holidays and girls' nights out, and stay in touch with your friends. It's really good for your soul. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for listening. Please, like I said, come and follow me at Sadie Maltby. Please remember to subscribe and follow on Spotify. Leave a little review. And thank you so much for listening, and I'll speak to you next week.